Hello, everyone. I am Shelly Dressel. Today, I wanted to look at new Pope Leo XIV. And also, it's Mother's Day here in the US. Happy Mother's Day to everybody around the world. I understand they have different dates in different parts of the world, but anyway, for us, it's Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day. Anyway, I wanted to look at this, and I've deliberately not looked too much at other people's because there's so many people that are doing research on him and channeling him and different things like that. But I wanted to get Albayon or Brysentia or whomever's perspective of it. And so we're going to see what happens. Um, so this is about Pope Leo XIV that was just selected in Vatican City, and he is Robert Prevost from Chicago, Illinois, in the U.S. Greetings. It is I, Albayon, and I speak with you with Brysentia here side by side. We're kind of merging our energies. When we look at this individual, we have to look at the Vatican as a whole. And we're actually getting kind of a split energy, which is why the two of us decided that we wanted to collaborate on this so that we're bringing in two different perspectives. So the energies, as you're listening to us, for those that can discern, may feel a little this way, then a little that way. And it's because the two of us are speaking together as one. There's been so much conflict around the Vatican over the last many years. There has been discourse about how they changed the Bible way back in the day. There has been the information that's come out about control, manipulation, many different aspects to things that were, how's the word we want to use? Not nice to people. And we know that as we look back over time, that when the just as with so many other things in your society right now, when this was originally set up, when the Catholic Church was originally set up, it was set up with the true intention of Yeshua and his disciples. The books that were written, including those of Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, there were many parts that came together, and they called it the Bible, which was the life and living of Jesus, and as he became known, but Yeshua as was his true name. When all of that happened, you began to see several hundred years after his passing that, well, even just his passing, you could see that there were things that were already put into play. And Yeshua, when he came into this life, he knew what the life was going to be like, not everything exactly, but a lot of specifics. And he knew how going down the line there would be just changes and that things would be misconstrued. Anyway, the bottom line that we're trying to say here is that what you see right now and the way that the church has been over the years, they had those rules about, priests cannot marry. They had these various rules that are just against humanity, against the natural urges or the natural being of being human. So it was as if they said that, and my take on it as I'm looking at it is, well, we wanted them to be separate. We wanted them to have to endure things differently so as to make them more holy. This is what we believe they've said to people. This is what we believe that they truly believed at the time. So then you just want to fast forward, and we're just going to fast forward to where we are now. We just wanted to premise this with saying that where the Catholic Church is right now and where everything has evolved is not what it was originally set out to be. And so that's just kind of the foundation, kind of the premise for this. When we looked at Pope Francis, which we've looked at him a number of different times, he was not a good energy. He was incredibly negative. He did many bad things to littles. He did many bad things to a lot of different people. He also was in direct connection with the reptilian race. Now, I know that a lot of people will say, well, there's some good reptilians and there's some bad. Well, he was with the bad. And they specifically used the church as a means of manipulating people, and that were and in ways that were harmful to others. He as he like when he first came into being, which was when the 70s or 80s, something like that. He was not the person he was when he ended up, and part of the reason for that is that over that time, doing the rituals and the things that they did, and the more that he became a part of the reptilians, the less human he was. So that by the end of it, and his last 10 years or so, he was not really human. He was, and in his mind, that's what he wanted. And in his mind, this was all the evolution that was going for, and he knew that that was where he was going to end up. Now we know we're talking about the new guy, but I felt like I couldn't talk about it and bring, this is Brysentia, and I felt like I couldn't speak about this because of the way that things have been entrained over the years, and how someone starts out and how they end up are two completely different things. And so that's why, as we look at Robert Prevost, the current Pope Leo XIV, as he is going to be known, the person that he is now is different probably than the person that he will end up being. But we know that there is a lot of transition that is going on. We know there's a lot of change coming about. And we do recall Albayon saying, was it Albayon or me? I don't remember which one of us. I do recall that we said in the last time that even if they did elect a pope, that he would not be in power for long. So having said all of this in the background, and having acknowledged how this is one of those businesses, if you want to call it that, or a part of the religions that's been very, very corrupted over time. There's the facade that many, many people still believe in, and then there's a reality that's behind that facade. So as we're looking at Robert Prevost, because we're looking at him as he was like throughout his years that he worked, and we see that he did a lot of time that was somewhere in South America, Peru, Argentina, something like that. And when we're looking at him, we again feel that facade. We feel as if when he was young, he was, we don't want to say changed, but there were things that happened, or things that were put into place that have a distinct impact on him, that we feel as if it's led him to a path that he ultimately knew that if he followed the rules, if he did what was requested, then he would end up very high ranking in the church, which was always his goal. Now, the reason that we're a little bit hesitant is because we can't help but see this shadow around him, or this facade around him. And so we want to be as authentic as we can. So we're just going to get quiet again and say, what is this shadow about, and what is happening here? Okay. It's the representation of all of these high-ranking people in the Catholic Church. All of them live behind a facade. All of them live with a shadow. All of them live in a place of recognition or understanding that this is what we put out to the world, and this is how we communicate to the world, but this is how we act in real life. So that is why it's so hard. And we feel like they've had this facade up for a very, very long time. And that most people, that when they look at it and they say, oh, I'm connecting in with my heart, they see the facade and they don't recognize, oh, this is not the real thing. There have been a lot of prophecies that spoke about the last pope and the end of having a pope. And this is what this is representing. There was a great deal of energy that said, this is Albayon now. You can see the difference, can you not? This is Pope Francis was to be the last pope. They were to come out about everything that he had gone through and everything that he had done to people as a part of the changing of the church. And so he was actually removed a very long time ago, at least 5 years, at least 5 years. And then there were many, many other people that kind of stepped up into his place, or they played him as if in a movie. And then others use CGI. And so you have not seen the true authentic Pope for quite some time to begin with. And so the belief was, and this was prophesized way back many hundreds of years ago, that at this time in history, that it was going to be the end of the popes. It was going to be the end of not necessarily the end of the church, but the end of the church as structured in this way. So when he passed and they had not gone through all that, that was one reason why they kept his death a secret for so long. I mean, he was taken out because of treason and because of crimes against humanity. So that's why he was removed, not because of natural death or anything like that. But when we look at Robert Prevost, he is going to be the last pope, and he does know what he is coming in to do, and he does understand that this is about taking down of the system. All of that facade, all of those things that Brysentia was speaking about, that is all very legitimate and very real, and that's what many, many people tap into. But as we're looking at Robert, and we just want to say, is this the original Robert that was born into this body and into this man? The answer to that is yes. So he knows what's been going on. Okay. Do you recall when I spoke, was it last time or 2 times ago, that when we looked at the Vatican, we could already see that there were people that were restructuring the Catholic Church so as to create continuity, and so that, because as with most anything, the vast majority of the Catholic Church is filled with good, true, authentic people. It is those at the top that were corrupted. It is those at the top that were, and I do see the potential that even back in the day, they when they began to have a pope, that even at that time it was all created in alignment with the reptilian race, or those that were a part of it at that time. Because as you know, throughout history, you've seen waves and waves and waves of this energy. It has never gone away. Okay. So Robert is very aware, and he's going to be working with individuals in order to create a transition in the church. So he's going to take on all of the power, all of the energy of the church. And during this time that they were in the caucus and everything was trying to be elected, they were actually pulling out those popes that were still a part of the crimes against humanity, that were still a part of the control and manipulation. And so he has created around him, he was part of the group of people that started around, maybe it was in 1980, 1990, that they knew. No, actually, we're hearing it was way before that time. They read the Bible. They believe, the church believes in all of that prophecy way more and at the forefront than many other people did. And so as what's the word I want to use? So they knew that the end of the Pope was that the end of this was coming up at this time, space, reality. And so they have been working towards and creating this transition so that when it did come about, it would go as smoothly as possible. So are they going to say yes and no? I do know that at some point, everything is going to be made known to the public, everything about all of the politicians worldwide, about all of the religious leaders worldwide, about all of the different countries worldwide, about how the littles have been abused, not only in this time, space, reality, but throughout history. And so all of that is going to be made known, but it's not going to be blasted out there in such a way that it is extra traumatic to people. So what's going to happen is you will hear that there's this that's happened, there's this that's happened, there's this that's happened. You will hear bits and pieces of things, but it is only kind of 5 years down the road, 3 years down the road, that you will have everything about them. And we understand that there are many, many people that want it all blasted out there, put it all out there, let society deal with it. But what humanity has chosen is to try to be as continuous in its support of humanity. And the reality is that if you traumatize too large of a group of people, then that's going to make things much more unstable. So therefore, they have elected a pope, and it is Pope Leo XIV, and his name is Robert Prevost, and he is going to be the one to transition the Catholic Church into the new church or the new reality. It is going to remove all of those. It is 100%, it will disconnect from the organizations or the people in the background that have had their hands in this, and it will get rid of all that control and manipulation. And it's already been in a process of dismantling since about 2018, something like that. And so that's going to continue on. They will continue to dismantle, they will continue to take things out. And if you're asking, some people ask, well, is the gold still under there? No, the gold was removed a long time ago. And the gold the vast majority of it is in one safe place. But one of the good things you could call about it is they have everything written down where every piece of gold came from. So when the time comes and everything's going to be returned to where it belongs, they've got all the documentation they need, and they will return it to where it needs to go. Okay. Yes, there have been a lot of abuses against littles throughout the various levels of the church. Yes, this has been going on for a very, very long time. Yes, there was some concern that when Robert was in Chicago that he overlooked it, or he didn't react as much as he could have. At that point, he was under control of others, and he did what he could to try to support the people in the diocese. But all of that, but he knew in the big scheme of things, all of these things that were taking place were leading up to what is happening right now. And he always knew that he would have a role in that. And he always knew that that he would have to walk that path of doing things. We do not see that he ever abused the littles, but of not necessarily prosecuting those that should have been prosecuted. And we just feel that he has known information, and he did not act on it the way he would normally have acted on it. And so therefore now he's at the place where finally he can step into this power, and he recognizes that it may be even more dangerous now than what it was before. So the question is he a white hat? And the answer to that is yes. So the question is, are the people, the other cardinals and the other people around him, are they all white hats? The answer is no. So he's still walking that fine line, but he does know a certain number of people that are trusted and that are a part of this whole transition, and they are very closely around him, not only as bodyguards, but to help him in this transition. So this is an interesting one. Please dislike it, whatever you so choose. But understand that this is yet another piece of the massive puzzle that represents your planet, and that everything is falling into place, and that everything is going to be just fine. Ansa Luia.